What if I told you that one of the most advanced tech countries in Europe isn't Germany, isn't England, and isn't the Netherlands? It's Sweden, a country of just 10 million people with very cold weather, high taxes, and somehow 41 unicorns. This is episode 4 of Where to Run, where I explore the smartest places for mid to senior tech workers to rebuild post-layoffs. And today, we're looking at Sweden, the low-key powerhouse of Europe and what it's really like to work there in 2025. This video series is for tech professionals already living and working in the US, Canada, the UK, or the European Union. If you're based outside these regions or in an outsourcing heavy market, the data in this video will not apply to your situation. I do not cover immigration, international job hunting, or topics like how to break into tech without a college degree. If that's what you're here for, this probably isn't the right channel, and that's okay. But if you are operating within these markets, keep watching. There's a lot ahead for various seniority levels and career tracks in tech. But what else is Sweden given to the European tech scene? Sweden ranks as the world's second most innovative economy and is home to 41 unicorns, including Spotify, Klarna, Cry, and Voi. Stockholm is the second only to Silicon Valley in terms of unicorns per capita, demonstrating Sweden's outsized impact on the global startup ecosystem. Swedish startups have doubled in value over the past 5 years, now worth 238 billion euros. The country's culture of successful founders becoming angel investors fuel a very positive cycle of mentorship and new company creation. Tech scene and culture. Let's look at Stockholm first. Stockholm can be rightfully called the Silicon Valley of the Nordics, with perhaps the best startup scene in Europe. There are some reports that show Denmark as the Europe startup leader, but those reports are typically issued by the Danish authorities or government, so I don't know how unbiased they are. Once again, in this specific series of videos, we're focusing on people who work in employment, not entrepreneurship. So what this means for the employees is the abundance of roles at startups. Sweden is known for its strong venture capital presence and government support, high salaries, excellent quality of life, fantastic infrastructure. Now, a few words about Gothenburg, another city with strong automotive and gaming industries, growing tech ecosystems with innovating startups, more affordable than Stockholm, with a focus on sustainability and mobility tech. Nevertheless, they are a smaller ecosystem compared to Stockholm for obvious reasons. There's fewer large-scale global tech companies and limited venture capital compared to Stockholm. There are also other cities where tech talent is present, but they're a lot smaller than those two. As for the state of the market and post-layoffs in 2025, early 2025 saw widespread layoffs across the global tech industry, with Sweden affected as well. Even Northvolt, Sweden's electric vehicle giant, filed for bankruptcy in 2025, cutting over 2,800 jobs. Now, why is this important specifically in the context of Sweden? It's important because Sweden has become a European leader in electric vehicle adoption, ranking second in registration in 2023 and maintaining a strong growth trajectory. With plenty of tech talent working in the automotive industry as well as climate tech, these layoffs are very significant on the country level. Sweden has ambitious climate targets, including reducing transport emissions and achieving a fossil-free vehicle fleet. Electric vehicles are central to this strategy. Northvolt's bankruptcy means that Sweden will see a dip in electric vehicle sales, and that could have immediate negative effects on Sweden's climate strategy. Despite the layoffs, Sweden's tech job market is described as booming and multiple resources in 2025, with strong demand for specialized talent, particularly in AI, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and full stack development. AI is a particular focus. The government has committed over 1.1 billion euros to AI initiatives, and Microsoft's 3.2 billion investments in cloud and AI infrastructure is expected to train 250,000 people in AI skills all over Sweden. Quality of talent. Sweden is widely recognized for the high quality of its tech talent, driven by a strong innovation culture, world-class companies, and significant government investment. Swedish tech talent doesn't shout, but it's ridiculously competent. Most engineers and PMs come with serious depth in system design, infrastructure, and sustainability tech. But what really stands out is the work culture. Flat hierarchy isn't a buzzword. It's how things are actually run. A junior dev will question a director culture in a meeting without flinching. People build for the long term, they collaborate without ego, and there is this quiet professionalism that's very hard to explain unless you've worked with them. You will not see folks grind in 100-hour weeks, but the quality of output is consistently high. The vibe. So Stockholm, in my humble opinion, definitely sits somewhere between Toronto and California, vibe-wise, but definitely not New York. It does not smell legacy. Because of the vibrancy of the tech scene, I want to say that the startup scene feels faster than Toronto, but definitely far from California. For any North Americans exploring the European tech scene, I cannot explain where it's coming from, but I find that there is a lot of cultural compatibility with North Americans. Not similarity, actual compatibility. I don't know where it's coming from, but to me, it explains why tech talent coming out of Sweden does very well in the US and Canada. Another thing that amazes me about Sweden is their country's success, not just in tech, but in cultural industries as well, such as music, art, avant-garde cinematography, game development, and game design. That same creativity that fuels its music, cinema, and game dev shows up in its tech. This is a country that gave us Max Martin, Midsommar, and Minecraft. You're not just getting coders, you're getting creators. Another aspect where Sweden is a true trendsetter is design and aesthetics. Just look at this. Speed of life is slow. Slack pings will not fly on the weekends. No 10 p.m. quick fixes. And that is amazing unless you're the only person on the team still on startup autopilot. Yes, Stockholm is full of expats, but most of the society still runs in Swedish, which again, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. They are a beautiful country with very rich history, and it's good for them for preserving that. And outside of a few big tech firms, you're not just expected, but socially pressured to learn the language, which, as I mentioned before, is the right thing to do in my opinion. I cannot imagine coming to work in Italy or Poland and expecting people to speak English to me, no matter how international they are. Tech workers are respected, but not glorified. If you're used to being a minor celebrity just for being a PM or an engineer, Sweden's flat hierarchy will humble you. Those of you uncomfortable with flat hierarchies, consensus building, or highly collaborative cultures may find it challenging to fit in. Cost of living. Now let's talk money, because for all the innovation and quality of life, Sweden isn't exactly a tech salary paradise. Housing. A one-bedroom apartment in central Stockholm will run you around 1,300 to 1,800 euros a month. Outside of the city center, between 900 and 1,200 euros. Rent control laws and limited supply mean finding a place often harder than affording one. Groceries and eating out are expensive, not New York or London expensive, but still expensive compared to the rest of Europe. Speaking from my own experience, the last time I visited Sweden was in 2023, and compared to Toronto, it felt like a breeze. It was a lot cheaper than Toronto. I want to say about 25 to 30%, but still compared to the rest of Europe, it is very expensive. Tech salaries. So a mid-level engineer makes about 5,000 to 6,000 euros a month before tax, and senior and staff level engineers and PMs make between 7,000 to 8,500 euros a month. Once again, that's before tax. Sounds decent, right? But taxes. The top marginal tax rate is 52.3%, and it kicks in faster than you'd expect, especially if you're single. For a senior level tech worker making 100,000 euros a year, your net pay after taxes is roughly 56 to 60,000 euros. That's around 5,000 euros a month take home. And no, there is no optimize your taxes within LLC culture similar to what you find in Canada or the US. It's airtight. Savings potential. After taxes and essential expenses, a senior tech worker in Stockholm might save up to 2,000 euros a month max. Compare that to Austin or Seattle, where you could save 3 to 5K a month in a high comp package. Sweden starts looking soft if you're optimizing for wealth. Sweden offers stability, not the upside. You can live well, but you won't build wealth very fast. The system is built for everyone to live decently, which I don't know if you share this opinion, but to me, that is a very strong socialistic vibe, very similar to what you typically find in Canada. The system is built for you to be middle class, not for you to get rich. Conclusion. When is Sweden a good idea? Sweden is great if you're optimizing for quality of life, not career acceleration. It is post-hustle, not pre-hustle. If you're trying to escape US burnout while still staying in tech, It's a soft landing. If you're trying to rebuild aggressively post-layoff, it's probably not the launchpad that you're hoping for. It is great if you're looking to optimize for family, safety, work-life balance, not for maximizing RSUs. Tech professionals with strong skills in AI, data science, cloud computing, and cybersecurity, combined with adaptability, collaboration, and a willingness to engage with the Swedish culture, do exceptionally well in Sweden. This environment is most suitable for experienced, innovative, and team-oriented individuals ready to thrive in a rapidly growing, inclusive, and future-focused tech ecosystem. If you're joining a company with a pre-arranged relocation package, and ideally you speak some Swedish or are willing to learn some, Sweden would also be a great choice for you. When Sweden doesn't make sense, if you need aggressive salary growth, Sweden's taxes are punishing past a certain income, and the top marginal tax rate, 52.3. And unlike the US, there is no loophole culture here. Your net pay as a senior dev might feel shockingly close to what a mid-dev makes in Texas after tax. Moving on to Denmark, and specifically Copenhagen. Denmark is a masterclass in design, taste, and modest elegance. Tech scene and culture. Copenhagen has a tight but serious tech ecosystem. You won't find the chaotic scale of Berlin or the unicorn density of San Francisco, but you will find strong product culture, very thoughtful engineering, and focus on design, clean tech, and health tech. If there is a place to learn top-notch UX, it's 100% Denmark, because you will be surrounded by beautiful functionality everywhere you go. But don't expect 100+ open roles in every company. It is a very small market after all. Recruiting is very deliberate, and many senior roles are filled through network, not job boards. Quality of talent. Quietly excellent by European standards. The Danish tech talent pool is highly educated, systems-oriented, and fluent in English, but it is not competitive in the American sense. So if you're a European tech worker looking for the best country in the European Union that can be your launch pad to the US, you better be looking at Sweden. Most senior tech talent comes from the Technical University of Denmark and the IT University of Copenhagen, the two institutions that punch well above their global visibility. DTU especially has a reputation for producing wonderful engineers with a deep understanding of sustainability. And here's what sets Denmark apart. The culture promotes ownership without ego. People will challenge your ideas. It is very common in the Nordics. There is no such thing as a junior being afraid to speak to the senior. And because education is free and selective, the talent pool isn't flooded with people chasing tech for money. You will not find many fell into this after a boot camp types. Most chose and trained for it over 5+ years. You will not see people bragging about their 100-hour weeks or side hustles. In fact, bringing that kind of energy into a Danish team might make you look a little insecure. Work-life balance is sacred, and that includes senior leadership. The vibe. Flat hierarchy, very common in the Nordics. Direct communication. Nobody cares about your job title. Don't expect to be addressed as director of product. You will be called by your first name, and you will get questioned in meetings just like everybody else. Also, people don't network here in the way they do in North America. I felt this firsthand. I have this little thing I do every time I travel internationally. So as a little refresher, I'm a product manager, and after years of living in Canada and working with the Canadian and US markets, I am aware that networking is your bread and butter in tech. So every time I travel, I do my best to attend at least one local tech event just to see what it feels like to work in that ecosystem and to understand what tech feels like in different parts of the world. So I either go for a local meetup or I try to look for meetups within Lenny's community. For those of you unfamiliar with the product management world, there is an international community of PMs gathered together by a big creator. His name is Lenny Raczynski, and he has a Slack channel with channels in every major tech hub. So if you're part of his paid community, you can join that Slack channel and go for various meetups wherever you are. The reason I love Lenny's community is because due to the nature of Lenny's content, people who read him and are willing to pay for his content, they have a lot in common. There is this highly curated community of PMs, and the biggest phenomenon is that the curation isn't so much driven by money. It's driven by the depth of research that he does and and the people who are interested in his research. So anyway, I go to Lenny's meetups wherever I can. And the last time I went to Denmark, I went onto the Slack channel and I typed in the Danish group that I'm visiting from Toronto, that I'm looking for people to meet and network with in Copenhagen. And I got only one response. That is very rare, like extremely rare. It's not like many people responded by the time it didn't work out. Like in Toronto, if you'd send a message like that, you'd get 15 responses within a couple of hours. There would be some networking happening after 5 o'clock. Now, to be clear, I deeply respect the customs and culture of each country, and I'm not saying that everybody should be as bubbly and chatty as North Americans. But living in the Western Hemisphere sort of dictates the kind of society that I'm used to, so there's that. Denmark is definitely more of a closed loop society. Breaking in as a foreigner can take years, and this I have confirmed with some people that I know who are German and Czech born living in Denmark. Cost of living. Copenhagen is not cheap. It is on par with Berlin and Amsterdam, but some essentials such as groceries, restaurants, and housing can be eye-wateringly expensive. My biggest cultural shock was coffee. Guys, please do something about your coffee. $10 for a cup of cappuccino is just, that's worse than New York. But the real hit, taxes. Top marginal tax rate, 55.9. And yes, you get public healthcare and free education, but if you're coming from the US, where 250K means upper middle class, brace yourself. Your take home in Denmark will feel pretty small. Conclusion. When is Denmark a good idea? If you're mid to senior level, post-burnout, and you want to optimize for dignity, balance, and design-driven work. If you're joining a company that already understands global teams like Unity or a US company with a Danish office. If you want strong social benefits for your family and a city that is safe, very bikeable, and parent-friendly. If you've got an EU passport or your employer is sponsoring and walking you through the visa process, which, by the way, is much faster than in Sweden. Usually 1 to 3 months if your employer knows what they're doing. When is Denmark not worth it? If you want an explosive compensation growth. That's not going to happen in Denmark. Offers are modest, equity rarely turns into cash, and bonuses are rare. You rely on aggressive networking and side gigs to level up. Denmark does not reward hustle, it rewards stability and seniority within the same org. It is not worth it if you expect to build a career purely in English. While office life is English friendly, many leadership roles still require Danish, and so does real career longevity, which I would like to emphasize once again, in my opinion, is the right thing. I do think that the country should preserve their languages and that the local languages should be prioritized. And lastly, it is not a good choice if you want to make international friends quickly. The social scene is polite, but is not too available to outsiders. So to sum it up, if your goal is to stabilize your life and do meaningful work in a highly civilized settings, this is one of the best places in Europe. But if you're still in growth mode, career first, or chasing upside, you'll outgrow Denmark very fast. Before we wrap up, yes, I am well aware that there are 5 Nordic countries, but for mid to senior tech workers looking to relocate and rebuild their lives post-layoffs, Sweden and Denmark are the only ones that I think are worth a serious look. Norway's tech scene is fairly small, risk-averse, and largely tied to oil money. Finland is great if you're in gaming, deep tech, but it's very isolated and language-dependent, and not built for international PMs or engineers. So no, I didn't forget them. I just wanted to specifically focus on Sweden and Denmark. And that's a wrap for this episode. Next up is the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. As always, I hope this was helpful. Till next time. Bye.